Welcome everyone to episode 4 of the Lost Cause podcast, the only podcast by players and for players in the Lost Woods Draft League, hosted by the incomparable Leaf. I'm Jacob, coach of the St. Louis Sandshrews.
I'm Kian, coach of the Massachusetts Mareeps.
I'm Chris. I'm coach of the Macho Mudkips.
I'm Anthony, coach of the Lexington Luxrays.
And I'm shocked. I heard Chris say before we started recording that he was going to win that speed tie.
And I did.
You finished second.
Did. What?
Kian went first.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, the speed tie is between me and Anthony. I'm leaving Kian out of this.
I let him win.
Yeah, okay, buddy.
Okay, so you're just accepting it. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess so. I don't know. I just think it's interesting. I think it'd be more fun if we had a little bit more kind of adversarial relationships on this podcast. I think that's really what's going to drive viewers to it.
Chris, I'm gonna kick the shit out of you.
Hey,
That's what we need, baby.
save it for playoffs.
Do we play?
You could.
But back to the actual action. We're going to just go in as we have started doing every single week, talking about our matchups. We're going to start first with my game this past week in week 3 against the Toronto Toeds, coached by AJ. Not a ton that I need to say right now about this set. Of course, you can go watch the video that I posted about it. But it was just a lot of fun. It was two very just like good stuffs teams with, I think, some really cool techs. I was really, really proud of the Smeargle. It's the first time I brought Smeargle all season. I brought it next to the weakness policy Dragonite. Could do the upper hand Terra Normal extreme speed stuff because into AJ's team, outside of those two ghost types, the +2 extreme speed just OHKOs everything. And even when these ghost types decide to tear it into something that's not a ghost, then I can get those KOs there. I felt super confident in these top two. And because there's so many special attackers, Frostmoth felt really strong here, as well as Skeledirge, because there's a lot of setup opportunities. The weakness policy on Saraledge, the Hydreigon, the Sylveon, the Volcarona, that all want to boost their stats. So the Unaware felt really, really valuable. And just as that insurance, I finally got to bring the Scrafty and the Arbok together. My double Intimidate with the coaching set, just getting my Arbok super beefy, just not caring about physical attackers with these two, not caring about special attackers with the Frostmoth. That was the idea. I ended up really not needing these last two mons, and it really was just the Dragonite and the Skeledirge show. It was, just pretty solid win. Dragonite got all 4 KOs in game 2, which made me very happy. I definitely was caught off guard by this Assault Vest Sylveon, by the Dusclops and the Saraledge, which led in game 1, where he got to Frisk, see my weakness policy on Dragonite, and not care about my extreme speeds. And after I Terra Normaled, he side Shadow Sneaked into his Saraledge, got the weakness policy, got the speed boost, close combated my Dragonite, and really put me on the back foot in game 1. But thankfully, Frostmoth and Skeledirge are just that good. And we made it through, and we're 3-0, and I feel good. I feel good about where I'm at in the season right now.
Yeah, I really like the team that you ended up coming up with. I think there was so much of it that was unexplored in the match. Like, obviously, Dragonite kind of just tore through everything. But seeing the mode of, like, double Intimidate and coaching and, like, setup, and then if they try to set up and, like, out-damage you, you have Alluring Voice on Skeledirge, and boom, it's +1, boom, you're confused. I'm just going to keep clicking Torch Song. It's so anti-everything AJ's been leaning into, especially that Terra Fairy Skeledirge. Yeah, I think Dragon Cheer here was really cool, but, like, it was way too committal. Like, AJ tried to get it off, I think, game 2, which meant Terra Dragon on the Saraledge, and he already knew because of Frisk what the Dragonite was capable of. And so, like, sure, he protected and got it off, and then +2 E-Speed kind of just doesn't care. It was really well built by both of you guys, and I'm excited. Like, I'm very excited to see these mons continue to shine just in the matchups that are, like, more appropriate for it.
Yeah, that's something I'm really looking forward to. I definitely expect AJ to make playoffs. I expect to, if I'm not facing him immediately, to at least see him there and have to prepare for this team again. So I wanted to make sure that, I could bring something that I feel really confident in, but also not give away too much, and just talk about the ED spreads too, even though they don't show up here, talking about the things that AJ's been doing. Everything on my team is calced to live a critical Draco Meteor from this High Dragon. The Terranormal Dragonite, the Skeledirge, the Arbok, the Scrafty, everything is calced to live max special attack, critical hit Draco Meteors, just in case. He didn't end up bringing it, but everything was calced to live that.
Tell me
Notice
how.
that they didn't hit their brain for week 1. Notice that.
Tell me how
That's crazy.
Arbok, the Gen 1 snake, can live a crit Draco Meteor at max special attack. What's the spread looking like on that?
I mean,
Don't make me get on Nerd of Now right now.
No, it was like max HP, and like, I don't know, 100 something special defense. It takes a lot, but like, not as much you would think. Arbok's got like pretty decent defenses. I think it's like 70s, 80s across the board. So it's not
Combine
wrong.
that with coaching, it's like diabolical.
It's not bad. Not bad. That's really all I need to say about my matchup. We can move on then to one that was a little bit more fun. I think for me to watch at least.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun cooking for this set. Also had a lot of fun playing this set. I got to have the pleasure of playing Curry right after a local that we were all at. And sort of like the brain power game, I was thinking so hard the whole day, like went 4-0, didn't drop a game. So I was like scared. I'm like, do I still have a brain to play this matchup? And thankfully the tools that I ended up bringing allowed for me to outplay pretty well. Low-key, starting to think the MVP of my team is Empoleon. Like, that Mon is so good at just like bullying closed team sheets. Like anything you want to try, like intimidating, if you want to try like fake out, I ran Covert Cloak this week. And yeah, I just have so many tools for disruption between like Grimmsnarl and yeah, just like Porygon 2 gimmicks, Hippowdon with Yawn, which I didn't end up getting to click throughout the set. I think that like I'm really starting to understand how my team is supposed to operate, and yeah, I'm making a couple more transactions, but that's anyways. This match, Curry kind of brought just about everything I anticipated, except I was not thinking about this Misdreavus set at all. I'm really impressed by this because like I didn't anticipate Misdreavus, but it definitely put in work. It just didn't have like enough to win like a 1v2 in an end game. But between that, like Raging Bull on Tauros being such a problem for my team, and the absolute like, we're going to talk about this later, but the gimmick of like Palafin and Sceptile that was pulled off was really cool. And I'm really grateful that I didn't have to set up Sand for that Garchomp game 1, because Swords Dance behind sub with Bright Powder Sandveil, like I would have just lost. I got pretty lucky, but oh, this is me just seeing Sunny Day on Sceptile. This got cooked. Like there was so much sand hate. Like I expected sand hate, but there was just like, he counter teamed me very well, and despite like, yeah, it was a real challenge. I think the misses with like Leaf Storm game 2 were, I mean, payback, but like also sad, because like, I mean, Hisuian Arcanine didn't flinch anything, so like, why'd they have to do that to me? But I'm yapping. This was a great set, great teams. I'm really happy I got the opportunity to play this team. It kind of like made me realize that even though like there are some teams that we've kind of rated lower, it's really hard to prep for any team in this draft league, because people have so many tools at their disposal, and you can never know when something hard counters you until it does.
Yeah, this set, I think, but I know Chris and I were there. Anthony wasn't watching this one live because he skipped the local, which is classic Anthony. But watching this one live, even though like, we couldn't talk too loudly about it because I was standing right behind you, this was so much fun. It was electric.
It was a very, very cool set to watch.
Yeah, once we finally got to see, this Palafin Sceptile combo do what it's supposed to do in game 2, everybody just I started freaking out a little bit. And even in game 1, where Garchomp got behind that sub, I think he got a Swords Dance off there, and just, Terra Ground still didn't really care about these Ice Beams, even though they're still super effective. Like, he just ran a super, super bulky team, which I think is, that's something that we kind of expect from Kyle. That's not something we expect from the team that he built. His team in draft is very much setup oriented, just out damage you immediately, as opposed to this version of the team where he just has a lot of staying power, which I think was, of course, needed against, screens plus Porygon 2 with recovery and just everything that you've got going on over here. It was so much fun to watch. I loved it.
Thank you.
But we're
I just wanted to make sure if anyone else wanted to talk about how awesome I am, like, y'all could.
The leaf, like, I do remember like watching the set and like seeing those Leaf Storm misses. I was biting my nails, bro. Like, it was a very, very like close, good set to watch. Very fun.
I had a moment where, like, when I accidentally clicked high horsepower into Misdreavus, and it waited for a second, I'm like, another miss, and then I was like, oh.
Oh, that Misdreavus because it walls the Hippowdon.
Yeah.
It was
Poor
cool.
guy. He didn't know that walking into the matchup. He just wanted to click moves.
No. But we can get on then to our third match, which hopefully Chris will talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, coming into this week, kind of like a battle of the rain teams going on. I immediately, like, looking at his teams, the speed tiers, I wanted to try to go for a hard Trick Room approach. I think that, like, I felt like that would work really well against his team. The only Pokemon that was gonna underspeed things would be the Appleton, but I definitely had like ways around that. What I was really scared of, so like my main strategy is like Bronzong and then Amon to like help it get Trick Room up, whether it's like Vivian, Palmot, Pelipper, someone to like help set up Trick Room. My biggest worry was like a Breloom, getting like a Spore off because I can't redirect that, and like, just like a lot of ways that he could stop Trick Room. But I was very, very happy to not see the Breloom show up. And there were no taunters, which I did prepare for that one at least, but it was nice to see that there weren't any taunts coming out. And so that, yeah, the game went exactly as I like wanted it to. I was able to get up Trick Room. I had Mudsdale and Vikavolt in the back ready to just sweep the rest of the game, get some really powerful earthquakes off, and if the earthquakes weren't hitting, then the discharges were hitting just as hard, and it worked extremely well. I'm really happy with this set because I feel like I really showcased just how synergistic the team is. There's so much synergy here between Vikavolt having Levitate to be next to Mudsdale, also being next to Bronzong, who also has Levitate. It's just, and like all the flying Pokemon as well. Like, there's so much synergy for Mudsdale to just go crazy. Terra Ground Earthquake was just ripping through his team. And there definitely were difficulties with the Aquatoros made it a little hard. I was pretty scared of an Aqua Jet, even more scared of a Terrastellar Raging Bull. And that definitely made it, harder than it had to be. But like, then, I just send out Vikavolt and just clean up the game from there. It just felt like such a good showcase of my team that I hadn't been able to really show in the past few weeks. So I'm very happy about that.
I definitely feel like the Mudsdale, seeing the Mudsdale sweep in the VOD, not only do I think that this is some of the best synergy on a team that we've ever seen actually in the 4 weeks thus far, like Vikavolt, Pelipper, Vivian just being next to that Mudsdale in Trick Room too, next to Bronzong, Body Press, Iron Defense, It's like that Mudsdale really good to sweep, and especially against bringing Mudsdale against another rain team, super scary. Like scary stuff. Just bringing a ground type in general to another rain team. But I think that you completely validated it by Soak Pelipper, which I actually saw in the OTS. I thought that was so cool, especially with Vikavolt Discharge, plus Vivian, plus like all the other tools that you had to counteract what Hawk had, while also being pretty proactive about ignoring like Electabuzz's Follow Me, especially with like Earthquake and your other spread moves. And even if you did turn it into a water type, you get discharged or you get thundered, and it's 100% accurate. Just bypasses accuracy check. I thought that was like super awesome to see. I think it was an amazing showcase. I loved seeing the OTS and the VOD for that. I thought it was super good.
Yeah, like
I appreciate
Chris, your team is so good, and like looking at this, like being able to click Terra Ground Earthquake that can't be intimidated or faked out with an AV on you and a disgusting defense stat next to four ground immunities is like actually like it makes me so happy. Like this is such a beautiful team. And like Disquake, like Iron Defense, Body Press, and Trick Room, like damage mitigation, and like the AV and light screen, Soak Pelipper, so that you can just click Thunder on something that like you don't really have an answer for. Like, there's so much here, and I'm like, this is getting me so stoked to like see you start to like scratch the surface of this team's potential as you've like been getting a bit of like the matchups that let you pull these techs off. Like, I live for this. This is so cool.
I appreciate it. The first few weeks, I definitely felt like I had trouble kind of getting it off the ground and trying to get this up and running. And this week really just felt like everything kind of came together. And like you were saying, like Mudsdale, like Inner Focus just ties that Pokemon together so well. Like you're saying, I can't get faked out. I can't get intimidated. And it's just, it's so good. It really just felt like a week that everything came together, and I was finally able to showcase this team that supposedly was really well received by a lot of people in the draft. So I'm happy that I lived up to that a little bit this week.
It was nasty. I think it's crazy that you had 4 ground immunities and had trouble getting it off the ground. But I also love based fist plate on Palmot. Absolutely. Who needs a black belt?
I was gonna say that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what
I figured Palmot would be a good partner for Bronzong to set up Trick Room. I just nuke something with a fist plate close combat, or I could nuke something with a Terra Electric double shock. Like there's a lot of like good options there. I didn't really have to go for any of those, but like the option is nice to have.
This is like this team sheet has me like looking at my team and like scratching my head, and it's like, why did I draft? Like, what? This is so amazing, and like I look at anything else and I'm like, damn, this is why you were ranked so high, just because like you can pull off stuff like this in the matchups where you're able to get it off the ground. Like, it's amazing.
I'm a little worried now because now people know about it, and there's gonna be a lot better counterplay to it in the future now that people know what to expect. But I'm hoping to like, keep it going. Try to find other synergies among the team that I can capitalize on.
Yeah, and you didn't even bring your Basket Legion. You got 2 Basket Legions.
I do.
You can play through any other matchup. Absolutely.
Wait, I'm sorry. You drafted both Basket Legions in that one pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I get both of the.
I thought it was only female.
No.
Wait,
No, because I brought
I
brought female during Alakani's set, and then I brought or no, I didn't bring it week 1, but yeah, I brought the female one week 2.
Yeah. It's almost as broken as 4 Oricorios. It's nuts, man.
Yeah, because I get to choose if I want to be physical or special that week.
Just give the bird some glasses. And it can't move.
Give the bird some glasses. Put that in quotes.
No, when we overthrow Leaf and take this Lee over, that's the first thing I'm changing. You are not
Yeah.
getting 4 birds with 1 pick. Absolutely not. Not in my league. Now on the last matchup of the 4 of us, Anthony, how'd it go?
I think this went pretty well. My Pokemon did exactly what they were supposed to. The night before I played, Muhammad, who is also the coach of the Worcester WooSawks. I said that wrong the first time I pronounced it, but I got it on stream, so it's okay.
Good job, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate it. My mons were pretty much just how I envisioned them, to be honest. The first 2, obviously, Kingambit, Staraptor. Kingambit in literally any matchup is good because I have multiple modes of Trick Room, a fast Intimidator. I think I have Redirection. I can't remember, but I also have Fake Out with Tinkaton. Also, shout out Charlotte, by the way, for making me remember that Tinkaton had Mold Breaker. Hey, I'm just saying, Mold Breaker into 2 clear body mons with Baby Doll Eyes. That's priority. That's gonna do some stuff. I brought Rotom and Tinkaton because I didn't really know what else to bring to Muhammad's team, because they have it's an incredibly diverse team. It's like, I looked at the sheet, I think Monday night before the match, which was Wednesday night that week, and I was like, I have like 2 guaranteed Pokemon I want to bring, and I don't know the other 4. So I ended up actually premiering Honchkrow and Chandelure. And Honchkrow, I could not thank enough for having just its presence, having a 100% crit rate Night Slash, especially with Terra Dark. If you look at Muhammad's team sheet with Dragapult, it helped a lot, and I used it only in the end game when I was burned. But I would like to give a huge shout out to Chandelure. Kingambit pretty much alley-ooped Chandelure for 2 KOs, I believe, in game 2. And that was only possible through Trick Room. I think that I would have been screwed without it. But me and Muhammad did have some similar stuff. We both had some cute little Flash Fire, Terra Grass, Armarouge, and Chandelure. It was awesome tech all around. It's like Muhammad counter-teamed my team so well, and it honestly just came down to me like selecting the right Terra type to bring on Chandelure for this entire matchup. And like Staraptor having Final Gambit, obviously great Pokemon, great move, great attack stat. And it's like Kingambit got 3 KOs game 1, but then it was just alley-ooping Chandelure for the KOs into the next game. And I actually think Kingambit got 0 KOs in game 2. And it was kind of surprising, to be honest. I was burned, but +2 Black Glasses I thought would do a little more damage, but Muhammad had a very, very well thought out team that I was very scared of. Access to Decorate, access to Trick Room. Right, I think, but does Blossom get Rage Powder? I could be very wrong. It probably doesn't. But with 2 clear body mons, being Dragapult and Metagross, Hitmontop with Intimidate and Fake Out, and then Murkrow. Like, this team was so diverse that I did not have a set 6 for it, and I had to specifically make up a game plan that would not always win me the game, but put me in a good position to win me the game. And I think that Dragapult, the support Dragapult, was my biggest fear, because my team is actually super weak on the physical side of defense. And I really only have Staraptor to counteract that, and Baby Doll Eyes Tinkaton with my Reflect Rotom. That's kind of about it. But yeah, it's super scary seeing a Dragapult and a Metagross on the other team and being like, wow, okay. If this is like Terra Normal Banded Explosion Metagross with Dragapult who can just attack, that's scary. Or if it's just Banded Dragapult with like Decorate Alcremie, that's also scary. And I really didn't know which one it was, and I think if Muhammad brought like any physical Dragapult set, I actually would have lost this set, because of how offensive, versatile, and supportive their entire team was into my team.
Yeah, this was such a cook-off between the two of you. One of the things I want to bring up, like that Haunch Crow set, like I'm glad gone 15 minutes ago. Welcome back, Auto Crit Hadrigan. Like just the super luck scope lens with like Night Slash just firing off, not caring about the reflect that Mohammed brought on the Dragapult, like being able to ignore a potential intimidate from Hitmontop. Like that was such a good call into this team. I think you did really well with that. Another thing, an interaction that I noticed throughout the like once in the set that was really interesting is the Murkrow with Whirlwind. Like Prankster doesn't work on dark types, but like people kind of forget, they kind of just associate that to priority moves. But Mohammed clicked Whirlwind into King Gambit, and since it's like -5 priority, I think it goes like right before like a Trick Room would. It became -4, so it was still like the last thing to move on the field. But since it was still a status move, it didn't hit the King Gambit, and it was just sitting there. And I was like, just so many like little niche interactions that show up in draft that are like so awesome. Like bringing your 2 dark types to be able to like check any sort of like BS from Prankster Mons is super cool. And like I'm so stoked that you got to use Haunch Crow in such a cool way.
I appreciate that. I actually drafted Haunch Crow for Perish Song, and I didn't think that I would get to utilize it fully. But it's like, when I see a Metagross on the other team that I can't immediately deal with King Gambit, especially with Terra types available in this format, having something like Auto Crit Night Slash, Welcome Back Urshifu Dark, like, it's just a lesser version of like Urshifu, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty much just 5 base power lower than Wicked Blow. I have to hit into this, and I have to hit it hard, and that's pretty much like bottom line. Like I have to ignore screens, and I think screens was my worst fear coming into this, and it was brought. I think it just came down to like how each player played. Shout out to Chandelure, by the way. That thing, like I cannot speak enough about that beautiful, like shout out Sia too. Like that Chandelier, that was absolutely beautiful performance. Like in Trick Room, out of Trick Room as well, just living hits from like burned Hitmontop's not going to do a lot of damage, but you'd expect like a triple axle to KO from 25%, right? No, Chandelure is just that good. It lives on 6 HP, gets the KO, gets residual. Like Chandelure is insane. I cannot get enough of that Pokemon. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but my match against Curry Puff this week, I'm a little iffy on, but I have ideas, and it might involve Chandelure, it might not. But shout out Sia, shout out Chandelure.
This draft is
I think this week I think this week is really cool because both of your teams skew so heavily physical that you both brought Reflect plus Will-O-Wisp plus just like high defense mobs. We saw 2 Wisps on Tony's side. I think it's just the one on Dragapult. Yeah, it was just the one Will-O-Wisp. But the other Texas Muhammad's team, the Zoom Lens Blossom to get higher accuracy sleep powders, I think is so funny. The After You for under Trick Room, just getting this Dragapult to move first. The Shed Shell Alchemy, I think is awesome.
I think that's really cool.
So cool.
I wish more people would bring Shed Shell into you, Anthony. I hope every one of your opponents brings a Shed Shell just because I want to see it.
Shout out to everybody. Don't bring Shed Shell, but actually bring Shed Shell, because I won't be using Perish Trap.
Anthony's never bringing
Ooh,
Gun.
I like the
bringing
mind
Goth.
game. I like the mind game.
On record
saying he's never bringing Perish Trap again.
Well, not again. I just meant, it's like that reverse psychology.
You just said.
Yeah, well, don't listen to me. Listen to the
Trade
fans.
me Goth if you mean it.
Nope, you're a nerd. You're not getting that beautiful lady. Absolutely not.
Yo, trade me Goth. Trade me Goth if you mean it.
You neither. You are not getting it.
You have
Goth
enough.
I have. Yeah, you're fine.
But no, I think this week is awesome. The Mold Breaker Baby Doll Eyes is so cool. That's
Shout out
bad.
Charlotte night
Shout out
before.
Charlotte. But yeah, I think we learned a couple of things this week. We learned that critical hits don't care about reflect, and we learned that Muhammad's team is pretty weak to dark types. And I think that's a lesson that everyone can kind of take moving forward. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun seeing something other than King Gambit actually take KOs for Anthony's team.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I think I'm at 18 now with King Gambit. 18 KOs in 8 games. 8 games total out of this 3-week season going into week 4. I think the next closest is 11 KOs on John's side, question mark? On
Yeah, I
Blood
think
Moon?
his Blood Moon is
Yeah.
second place.
It has to be Blood Moon. It's always Pooh Bear. But like even still, like King Gambit, calm down, man. Like he's gotten enough action. Like Star Raptor got like, I did want to point out too, Star Raptor got a struggle KO in the final turn of Muhammad and I's game 2. Shadow Star Raptor, my goat. I do want to transition though, and I think this will be a wonderful transition. Let's get into our tech of the week. Beautiful tech of the week, streamed by Jacob Lintner. No, you're absolutely fine.
That was good.
Thank you. I would like to shout out AJ for cooking the absolute most diabolical teams possible. Like, this guy loves crits, and I'm gonna be real, I'm here for it, but I'm not even here for that part. Seeing Dusclops on a team, alright, you got my heart. Seeing Dusclops that actually does something on a team, okay, wow, you're a pretty amazing human being. Saraledge. I know everyone sees that weakness policy proc. That's not flash fire either, that's weak armor. You get +2 speed, you get +2 attack. Nobody cares about special attack. No one's running flamethrower Saraledge. That's crazy. I love that.
It's nasty.
CC, Bitterblade, Shadow Sneak, that is all you need. And then AV Sylveon. You were living everything. Like, my brain can't fathom how one could bring Gyarados with not only Icy Wind and Taunt, but Dragon Cheer and Whirlpool. I have very mild bad memories about Fort Wayne of 2023 with Whirlpool Gyarados, and I think that is a very smart bring because lower power level formats with trapping moves, I love it. You can just trap a Pokemon in, unless they're a Ghost type, and just start pumping out damage left and right, especially when you have something like a +2 in attack and speed Saraledge on the field. It's like, that's insane. It's a wonderful bring. And then there's just Hydreigon, who's like one of the kings of low power formats. Like, this is my tech of the week because I love Dusclops. I love how it actually does something for the team. Not only that, it has residual with Nightshade along with Disable. Like, this thing is sitting on the field. This thing is helping its teammates, and it's doing chip, it's breaking sashes. Even with just Shadow Sneak, it's disabling stuff. And then Volcarona. Beautiful moth. Looking for its lamp. Its light in the darkness. And it found it. It was Dragon Cheer Gyarados. And I love this team. I absolutely love what AJ's cooking. I believe I faced them week 7 or 8, and I'm horrified. Because I don't know if I can stop this.
Yeah, this was terrifying. I mean, like, I saw the double ghost lead into my Terra Normal, E-Speed, Dragonite, and Smeargle, and I knew it was going to be a little bit tough. But, as I mentioned going through our set, as soon as he got his Shadow Sneak off into his Saraledge, I saw the weakness policy activate, he close combated my Dragonite. It was almost over. I mean, I was down 4-2 immediately. And then even in that end game, this Sylveon, my +1 Ice Beam from Frostmoth did like 20% to this thing. It was nuts. It's so bulky because it's like 135 special defense and then the Assault Vest. It's nuts. I think this team is so well built, and specifically to beat the stuff that I brought, like he fully prepped for this Dragonite Smeargle. Like, it was nuts.
Yeah,
This is nuts.
I'm really liking the development of this Dusclops. It's literally just like a Screamtail in a EVO lighted up Halloween costume. And I'm just loving all the sorts of different disruption that AJ can bring between like Disable and Haze and Nightshade and like self-proccing weakness policy stuff. Like you see the plethora of moves Dusclops can pull off, and you like I bet Jacob wasn't even thinking of like side procking like weakness policy, too scared of like Haze with all the setup that they were bringing. Like it's just so crazy.
I was scared of the Will-O-Wisp. I had Misty Terrain on this guy. Just for this Will-O-Wisp Dusclops and this Flame Body Volcarona. And he'd even bring Wisp.
Misty Terrain on any Pokemon is good tech. Primarina is like living proof of that. I love that tech from your side too.
I think the Flame Body Volcarona is just that kind of like ties it together in my eyes, especially just for the Dragonite. I think it's very good that you brought Misty Terrain for that, because that I feel like could have definitely gone out of hand.
Wow. Well, I got spooky. But now moving on to Chris's pick.
Yeah, so I chose Curry's team. I thought the red card Sceptile was just a really, really cool and like innovative way of guaranteeing that you get a like substitute for your Palafin, your like super offensive Pokemon Garchomp and Titan, Tauros. Like just getting a sub for any of those guys just feels super good. Like I mean it's, you know, the Palafin is probably the one you'd want there, but you know there's a lot of like flexibility there. It's just such a good way in my eyes to really get yourself going right from the start. You're not wasting any time pretty much. You just want to get set up immediately and just start trying to take KOs. I think it's a really cool way of using Sceptile.
I agree.
I think specifically because one thing we know about Kian is he's gonna bring Scarf, Hisuian, Arcanine, and he's gonna click Rock Slide. And when you side Jet Punch to proc your own Unburden while switching out Palafin because of red card, you never have to worry about getting flinched by a Rock Slide. You never have to worry about just getting KO'd by a Flare Blitz. It is the most consistent way that you can get a single turn of Palafin off the field and then back on. Like, I think it's so cool turn one, as long as you don't get faked out.
Yeah, and like, you know, he does have the Terra Ghost for that, but you know, if assuming like you don't want to really burn that, but that kind of like ties into yeah, like you don't have to burn the Terra because you're faster, assuming there's no fake out. Like I think it's really cool. It's very synergistic, I think, with the rest of the team.
Yeah, I'd like game one, turn one, when I saw that lead, I was debating on who to fake out. And like I ended up faking out the Palafin because like I'm pretty sure that thing can learn taunt, and I anticipated it to like maybe have it. And like if I had faked out the Sceptile that turn, like my intel would have been so like I would have known exactly what was going on. But the fact that I faked out Palafin and then like just like Shed Tail went off and I didn't even see the red card, I was just like, oh, this guy just wants to bring in like a super bulky Garchomp. And then game two, when I saw it, I'm just like, oh, like I like it was really cool. And again, shout out to Curry for such an amazing team, amazing set. Like, man, I love this draft league.
I think it just goes to show how creative of a player he is. Really does.
I agree. Like I'm prepping for this team right now. Back to what Kian said like 40 minutes ago, however long that was, you cannot prep for one team in this entire draft. Because I'm looking at this Titan, I'm like, wow, my team just goes down to half of like anything that Titan does. And then I see Palafin. Well, no, because it's true. It's like my team is somewhat Ice Weak. It's just it's hard. Like this is a scary team. Curry is a wonderful draft player and very creative, so I'm worried for my week 4 match.
You should be.
Okay.
Moving on to the next one, Kian.
Oh my god. I just like Sam, I feel like is going to be like the feature presentation of every single tech of the week, because the stuff that this man brings is just so insane. Like, the one thing that made me know that I wanted to talk about this is that looking at Sam's roster, you anticipate, if anything, there's going to be a soft rain mode with like the Salamence to hit off hurricanes, Golden Go to take advantage of like the weaker fire, the Swift Swim Dreadnought. Like, there's so much to take advantage of rain, but then he just like throws that out the window with Sunny Day Illumise and like a D-Dance Salamence, Overheat Rotom, which like despite like a assumingly bulkier set can just nuke anything on the other side. And then the Alolan Muck set with Agua Berry, Gluttony, and Recycle, and then like Haze, and then Gug Shot and Crunch for just like stab. Like, there is, it's just like staying there, and it's threatening really good offensive coverage with only one weakness. It's so cool. And then the Grassy Seed for, I believe they did play Alec, right? Yeah. It didn't bring Rillaboom, but being able to take advantage of like Grassy Seed on Serena could have just been so cool. Alec brought a great team, obviously, but it's more so like standard good stuff, like things that we've anticipated Alec to bring, because like their team kind of is sort of like, it's got text like hidden in plain sight. Like you can just kind of use these 6 and not have to get too like quirky with what you're running, and it'll just be very good. But when you have a team like Sam's that already has some very good picks, like, to be able to take advantage of such unorthodox sets is just so cool to me. Like, Grassy Seed, Terraflying, Acrobatics, Serena, like, you're not prepping for that. There's so much happening here, and you just love to see it. Fake Tears Illumise. Dude, like, this team is awesome.
No, I think the Muck went crazy. The Gluttony Aguaberry with Recycle, it just never fainted, because it gets down to 40%. It eats the berry, it gets back up to like 75, and then you just recycle the next turn and you just keep on going. It's so cool. You have the opportunity to haze away your own overheat drops, your make it rain drops. Like, there's so much synergy on the team, and you get to eliminate one of Alec's best ways to mitigate damage with this Brick Break Clear Amulet Salamence. Like, it's there to beat the Tyranitar, it's there to get rid of screens, and it's, 75 base power move, it ain't weak. It just, I love what Sam's been doing. And if that Rillaboom came, it's getting just KO'd immediately.
It's just so cool. Like, yeah, Brick Break. Like, if I'm Alec, I have a T-Tar in front of Salamence, I'm like, okay, like, I'm just gonna Rock Slide and just set up screens. Brick Break, 4 times effective. Like, with Clear Amulet, you're not getting any sort of attack drops or anything. You're gone. You've lost Tyranitar. It was really well thought out on Sam's part.
Yeah, I think his team is sick. But moving on to the last one, a team that I think is even a little bit cooler. I think both of these. I think this whole matchup between it was Cheeseboy and Charlotte, John and Charlotte, oh my goodness, the Rambunctious Reggies and the Cosmic Clefairies this week. I love John's team so much. I think it's so cool. It's another just random reflect on a Pokemon. There are, I think what John has been able to do is really impressive with his Tailwind and Trick Room modes. I think he's brought both Tailwind and Trick Room, if not all 3 weeks, at least 2 of the 3 weeks. And with especially Gengar as your primary Trick Room setter, it can be a little bit tough to pull off. But this Room Service Blood Moon Ursaluna, because he was going up against Charlotte's Araquanid, allows the Blood Moon to under Trick Room, be the slowest thing on the field, but outside of Trick Room, still move before that Araquanid because the Room Service doesn't go off. You get the Reflect up so that you really don't care about, the Annihilate or the Araquanid as much. You have just so many cool little things on John's team to try to give him the edge, and it worked, especially in game two, he just got Tricker'em Up and Blood Moon just won. And we got to see the Reflecta Magna Zone come in clutch. He did a lot of really cool things. But then on Charlotte's side, taking advantage of the ways that John tried to take advantage of their team. I think this interaction that happened in game one really spoke to what this match turned out to be, with the Quackleval on the field across from the Rotom Wash and the Magmortar. Quackleval is Terrafire, doesn't care about any Will-O-Wisps from Rotom, doesn't care about a Flame Body or a Will-O-Wisp from the Magmortar. So Quackleval, which is already at like decently low HP, I think it was at about 25%, just goes ahead and goes Terrafire, clicks an Aqua Step into this Magmortar, thinking, it's a pretty safe play, I can at least get some good damage off, maybe get the knockout, don't care about the burns, and potentially get a Moxie boost and a speed boost. But this Magmortar hadn't revealed Rocky Helmet, Terra'd itself to resist the Aqua Step, gets the Rocky Helmet chip, takes next to 0 damage from the move, and between Helmet plus Life Orb damage, the Quackleval just faints, and there's John's Terra and his strongest offensive Pokemon gone, all in one turn, because of an action that he took. Like, the mind games going back and forth between these two players, I think was so much fun to watch. This set, I wish either one of them had done commentary over it, because it was just so interesting. I would have loved to hear kind of what the players themselves were thinking of in those moments. Especially with all the information that hadn't been revealed yet in the middle of game one, beginning of game two. But there are just so many cool things about both of these teams that I loved that I wanted to point out.
Yeah. One of the things about draft that I've started to like is like, this is a bit unrelated, but like seeing Pokemon that you like just like get the limelight outside of like VGC. And so when I saw Charlotte bringing Cinccino, I like geeked out a little bit. I'm like, loaded dice, like Technician, Tail Slap, like that's actually such a powerful move. And like, it's just, look at it, it's just a little guy. Like, come on, it's gonna hit you like 4 or 5 times and you're gonna faint. And like, it's got a bunch of powerhouses and supports around it. Like, I watched a bit of the set. I don't know how much Cinccino, if it even came, was like relevant, but come on, like this is what we live for. Look at all these guys together. Like,
Yeah,
these teams are cool.
close enough. Welcome back, Population Bomb.
Let's go.
It's such a cool, like, yeah, it really, like, you don't have to run Skill Link when you're running loaded dice. Like, it's so cool.
We did the math on it. It's, if you get all 5 hits with the Technician Tail Slap, it's about a 250 base power move.
That's insane.
It's nuts, man. It's so silly.
All right, guys, load up on ghost types. Oh, I'm guys. I'm playing them this week. I just dropped my ghost type. It's over.
It's
okay, my Terra Ghost Curse. Easy. But speaking of,
Okay,
this
thanks
is
for
the
leaking
schedule.
my builder. Go on.
Come on, man. We'll start with the standings. Just a nice little recap. See where we're at so far. Here, let's zoom in just a little bit to make it easier to see. Just taking a look right here at the top, and I think the standings are kind of how you'd expect them to be for the most part right now. I think Alec and Gerd have been just pretty dominant through most of their weeks. Anthony and I are doing all right. And then, still 3 weeks into the season, it's gonna be pretty muddy here in the middle. Anything that stands out to you all?
I think it's really cool how the 2 people like tied for first right now are going against each other this week. So there's going to be a tiebreaker. I'm really psyched to see this matchup between Andrew and Alec. I think it'll be Corrosion and Alec. I don't know what just happened to me. Anyways, this like, yeah, things are starting to shape up like just about the way that you could predict like come mid-season. And I know there's going to like continue to be some upsets as the season plays out. I like that like 3 of us are like right next to each other, hanging out. It's really cute.
It's cute.
I love it.
I think that plus 16 Where'd she come from? That's crazy.
Mm.
I just think it's interesting. I think it's interesting how I lost a game and I still have a better differential than the two people above me. But like that's just just interesting.
I'm really excited to see the lower half of the standings, and like I really want to see how that develops. I'm really curious because there's so much that can happen in so many of those teams. Like it really can go anywhere, and I'm very excited to see.
Yeah, because these are all there are a lot of teams that are on the screen right now that we put in some of them in their own tier above everyone else in the tier list at the beginning of the season, but it's a lot of other them in A, S, high B tier. I think there are a lot of really, really good teams in this part of the bracket. Of course, Chris, John, Sam, I think were consensus ranked very, very high at the beginning of the season. But I've been really impressed by, Rockwell, by Hawks teams, by Muhammad's teams. Like, I'm really excited. I think once Hawk and Rockwell, like, I think they're right there. Rockwell, of course, has been making transactions every week. I'm a little bit concerned for the cohesion of that locker room, but I think once they get on a roll, it's gonna be spooky. I am terrified of when I have to play Rockwell in week 8. By the time that he gets it going, then it might be over.
I think, to make an analogy, I think Rockwell's team is like the beginning of Space Jam with all the Looney Tunes. Like, they're there. There are so many all-stars on that team. But I think once Rockwell gets going, I think we're screwed. Because
once they get Rockwell's secret.
Yeah, once they get the Rockwell secret sauce, Rockwell's like the MJ of this team. Rockwell will lead this team to victory. But like,
Hell yeah.
MJ's there, Bugs is there, Daffy's there. Don't copyright strike this, please. I swear. I think we're good. I think once the Looney Tunes start to like ball out, we'll be good. I think Rockwell's gonna pick it up at the end of the season. I'd love to see Rockwell in playoffs, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I think that's such a good quote. Once the Looney Tunes start to ball out, things are getting real.
I'll be here all night.
I think
He's
it's like
one an episode.
I think it's really interesting how Rockwell was like at the tail end of the snake draft, and his locker room is literally World War III right now. And like low-key, same thing is going on with me. And now it's like the middle of the snake draft, so I'm like feeling it. But I think it's interesting to see how like people's draft processes played out, and like how like their teams may not have the visions that they intended. And I think once him and I really get our act together by like mid-season, we're gonna have some really cool teams. But yeah, I think it's like a lot of construction going on in that room.
Kian, I think your team's already very cool. I'll say that. I'll put that on the record. I think everyone in this call's teams are cool. If
Thanks,
nothing
Jacob.
else. Looking at the schedule too. See last week. Looking forward to week 4. I think we already talked about one key matchup. We got highlighted on the schedule right here. This is for first place. This is Alec and Gerd playing for first place, and unless whichever of them wins 2-1 and I win 2-0 and still have a better win-loss record, there's a chance that I'm in first after this week, but likely one of these two is going to be in first. Sole possession of first place in the league after this week. Who do we think it's going to be?
If I may chime in,
Mm-hmm.
I think Alec's gonna win this entire season. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I think Alec's team has the potential, just because of how cohesive it is. This is literally a Lenduel, like, 1-for-1 team. And we're all like, holy crap, this is a scary team. Rillaboom, Farrig, Klefki, T-Tar, Corv, Chestnut, Gastro, Clefable, Malamar. The only, like, semi-weak Pokemon I see on there is Lampent.
Yeah, put some respect on Lampent's name.
Yeah,
Respect on
that's it, and it's still a good Pokemon. There are absolutely zero bad Pokemon on Alec's team, and Alec is my favorite to win the entire league just because of not only how powerful their team is, but because of how creative that they are getting with their team. I think there are multiple ways that Alec can maneuver around Gerd, Corrosion, that duo, and pretty much win a 2v1. Like, you're already fighting a 2v2 in game, so that cancels out. Like, you're fighting a 2v1 in real life. But, like, the Sand team, this is different. This is different stuff. These Pokemon get so many different moves, so many tools, so much utility, so many move sets that you can learn. I think Alec's going to win it all. That's all. Thank you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I can definitely see it. There's so many there's so many tools, and just it has the potential. I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm definitely with that. Like, it is the thing that, like, I mean, he drafted all of these, like, 19 point, 14 point, 17 point, 15 point, 12 point. Like, he did not let up in the, like, first half of the draft, and then was able to round out the picks. Like, and it's really coming together. Everyone has to kind of realize, like, how insanely cracked this draft was. And yeah, I'm very grateful that I do not have to face this in, like, the regular season, because I don't know what I do. This is just the better Sand team, like, fully. Like, it's really cool.
I mean, you and me both, man. I'm so glad I don't have to play Alec in the regular season.
Yeah,
Like-
if only.
You take those. Guys are fraud.
If I'm playing Garganacl against this, we're playing to timer 3 games in a row. Like, I don't have a way to break him. I don't know, you know, unless that Chestnuts run Belly Drum, there's not a good way to break the Garg. Like, it's just going to be a super long set. And I think Alec is more than capable of playing those games, is the problem.
I'd like to point out, too, like, Chestnut at 6, criminal. Absolute, like, highway robbery steal by Alec. Grassy Glide, IDBP, Synthesis, Spiky Shield. There's so much things that this Mon can do, and Alec got it for a steal.
I feel like none of the starters should have been, like, that cheap. Like, on the topic of that, like, Jacob getting Samurott for 3 when it's, like, capable of so much is like, what is it doing down there? What are these doing down there?
It's clicking Water Pledge. It's clicking Water Pledge, and that's all he needs to do.
He's so special, and we love him very much. Back to like who is playing who. Very excited for Chris and AJ. I mean, 2 teams I respect very much that, like, may not be super high in the standings, but they are, like, we've seen what they're capable of. Like, these 2 teams are so good, like, good stuff that synergize. I'm really excited to see it. And then I'm, like, a little bit biased. I'm excited for my match against Charlotte, because them and I are the 2 highest, like, 2-1s right now, I'm pretty sure. And this will, like, decide who really has, like, who's really getting closer to, like, locking, sort of, playoffs.
Oh yeah, there are a ton of great matchups this week. You know, Anthony has already talked about how scared he is of playing Curry Puff this week. I'm stoked to see Muhammad and Rockwell. I feel like they
I was
get
just
paired
about
up.
to.
I think those 2 get paired up at, like, every single local that they're both at together. And now they get to have the chance to fully prepare, like, a full week for one another. I think this is the potential to be one of the most fun sets of the season, with how much I think these 2 players are going to cook for each other. I'm so excited. I'm so excited
Absolutely
to see
agree.
because they
And
also have both made transactions in the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So the teams are so fresh.
My eyes will be peeled for a VOD. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
New next Sunday, baby. I'm ready for the premiere on Muhammad's channel. I'm so there.
I got their popcorn in hand. Like, it's gonna be a good one.
I'm stoked. It's going to be a great week. I get to play John. I played him last week in a different draft league. I get to play him this week in this one. I love playing John, man. It's just fun. But now that we've talked about all the teams, we looked at the standings. close out the show, revisiting our tier list, and we're having some discussions. I'm firm on, I think the John tier stays, but I do think someone else belongs in the John tier.
Yeah,
I think we have an idea.
we all know.
I want to put the Sylveons up there.
Put him up there.
Yeah.
Put him up there.
Put him up there.
I just get Alec up there. Alec is performing so well. Like,
Yeah.
he has a game for first this week. Like, oh yeah, it's not gonna be hard. I have Rilla, T-Tar, Farig, Corv. I have every tool.
It is just a VGC team.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
Lenduel
literally.
would be very, very proud of what Alec drafted.
Bro loves Lunduo.
He's such a good guy. I faced him at the 2-2 tables at NIC. I was like, I'm such a fraud. And then I lost.
I was gonna say Anthony knows one Tyranitar player.
And he's my goddamn favorite.
Guy has not seen my builder like at all. B and T-Tar, we're hashing it out right now.
That
But
being
let's not
said-
make this about me bubbling events, and let's get back to the tier list.
That being said,
like,
I think there's an argument for the other undefeated teams to maybe move up too. If we're putting the Sassy Sylveons up in John tier,
yeah,
You know what? I agree. I
I
haven't
think-
wanted to see any movement for myself. I wanna go up a little bit.
yeah. And I think
Yeah, I
we just
think-
copy paste.
Jacob Anthony and Corrosion. I'd say put Sam like top of A.
I still agree with
Just
that.
'cause, like,
Yes.
I would agree
Because the
with that.
team, we've seen how much the team is capable of, but the performance isn't like reflecting that. And I know that like he has the tools, they just need to be more cohesive. Because while they like do things, they can only do so many things if they can't like synergize together and win sets.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. I think other movers and shakers. There's a conversation eventually about the rambunctious Reggies.
I mean, like
Well,
it's like
We'll see after.
I'm
week
so
four.
sorry.
we
John.
keep saying like, you
Are
know,
we
we'll see next
real?
week. We'll see
Are we-
next week. We'll
We've
see-
been saying this
I-
for the past 2 weeks. It's week 4. We're already halfway
do
through the
think-
season.
I do
Yeah,
think
like,
we need
an
to
03 in
make a
the
hard
A tier
decision.
is like what kind of journalists are we if we have an O and the 3 team in A tier?
Gaming
I think-
journalists.
I think
Yeah.
maybe John goes a little down, and if he proves himself, if the team proves that it really is the best in the draft, then yeah, maybe
Here's-
one day it'll go back up to that glory of the John tier.
Here's what I'll suggest. You guys can agree, disagree. I think Chris should be moved up right behind the Azalea Ampharos, and John should be right below Chris.
I can see that.
I do agree with
Uh,
moving. I think teams that I want to move up, Macho, Mudkips, Cosmic Clefairies.
Yeah,
I think
definitely,
these teams move up from where they're at right now.
definitely the Clefairies.
I think Clefairies might just take.
I
the
agree.
Reggie spot up.
I
in the
agree.
bottom.
That is a good spot.
And we do something along these lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that works.
Do we need to rename the John tier?
No,
No,
I
no.
don't see why.
The
I don't see
John
why we need
tier
to
is
do
the
that.
John tier. Who's John?
John's an idea.
John is in that.
It's a state of mind.
Now, does anything move down further from B, maybe C?
We can move down further.
I would like to make a suggestion.
Go for it.
I kind of want to put Hawk, or the captain of the Island Dragons, and the Waltham Watchhogs in High C. I have reasonings for both. I feel like both players need to bring their utilizations of how they're going to win. And I was talking to Ronald about this for the Waltham Watchhogs. I want them to bring Wheezing Slacking. Wheezing Slacking destroys like half this meta because it's low power. It is a low power good technique. You can run like Choice Band and Neutralizing Gas, and you're like, oh whoa, I'm faster than like 90% of the Pokemon in this entire meta. I want to see that, and I have yet to see it. And I'm going to be honest, if it's not going to be brought, then why have it? That could be traded for a higher tier bond. I'm just saying.
That's very true.
No, I'm all about it.
Mm-hmm.
I do still like the cycling Cyclizars at the top of C, because what's the C tier for if not that?
Yeah.
If we do just drop them right in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I think
So-
that, yeah. It feels a little weird having Rockwell there, but
Yeah, I don't know. I think you could order C tier however you want.
yeah.
I don't think
yeah.
Rockwell is just straight up like the
No.
worst team in the league.
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
absolutely not. I think C tier is just like a general ideal. Like, you
Mm.
can order it however you want based on personal beliefs, but like, take that how you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this ranking, we're starting to get much more decisive, and I like this. Maybe by week 5 we'll have some D tiers.
We'll see. But I think we just got more data.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're able to make more informed decisions, and I feel really good. I feel very, very good about this tier list now.
And I'm so glad that it looks less phallic than it did before.
Okay,
I'm
well, I
very
wasn't
happy
gonna say
about
that.
that.
but all right.
Someone
how
had
many-
to.
If Anthony wasn't going to say it, then I was going to say it.
Wait, it doesn't.
We're back.
Never mind. Never mind.
I'll tell you
Yeah,
when
we
you're
go.
older.
No, that's cool. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that feels like a good stopping point.
Yeah.
I think we.
I would say.
Wonderful.
Shout out the Sassy John Vions, best team in the
Mhm.
league. Anthony's picked to win the championship. I don't know if I can put. I do think right now they're the team to beat for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think me and Big Tone got good shots too, man.
I
don't
think
know.
I think we have incredible shots. I think we've been cooking up some spice, little paprika, little cinnamon here and there. Mix the bowl.
It still feels a little early to make like
Mhm.
a set choice. Like I think like 1 or 2 more weeks. No, I know. Like there's definitely teams that I'm favoring over others to win it, but like I think a week or 2 more, I think, and I'll have like a set pick.
I'm with that. I did like a early application or whatever college people do, and that
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like
This is-
yeah, a
So
few
that
more
whenever
weeks.
Alec goes undefeated, makes to the finals, we play this clip.
Mm-hmm.
Play the clip.
Play the clip. Give us 2 months, then we're playing it. But
Yeah.
thank y'all for sticking with us. I think this episode's a little bit longer, a couple minutes longer than some of the past. We're also recording a little bit later, so hopefully I'll actually get it up tonight. But
Me.
I'm gonna be so sleepy. But gotta do it for the grind. Always on the content grind, as you know. But
I know you guys love your content.
We
it
love
too.
you.
I love rewatching us.
content.
Mm-hmm.
Yum.
Waiter, more draft content.
Well, shout out Lost Woods Draft League. Follow everybody else in this call. It's beautiful. And shoot, man. I think we'll. How do we close this out? Do I just see you next week?
Hamburger, chicken
Yeah.
wings. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great night.
If this podcast was a chick, no, I'm sorry.
Good night, everybody.
If it's raw, if it's chicken raw.